Trevor Owens wants to know, besides Cena, what wrestlers did the most for charities?
Hulk.
Yeah, I can
Hulk.
see that.
Hulk was doing Make a Wishes. God, in the back in the I don't know whenever it started, but I can remember in the '90s, Hulk would do a Make a Wish every night, every arena, everywhere.
Ronnie wants to know, or I'm sorry, Aaron. Aaron at Ronnie Salts says, if you could turn back the clock and join the WWE at SummerSlam '88, as previously discussed, would you do it? And if yes, do you think we'd still get the iconic Rumble win at '92?
I would not have gone if I could turn back the clock. I'm glad I stayed. It all worked out. Looking back on it now, there's a lot of things I could have done differently. Um, but ultimately, nothing's guaranteed. I don't know. I'm glad I stayed. Um, all I knew back then was the Horsemen and having fun, and I don't know whether '92 would have taken place or not. It might have if I'd gotten over. Your buddy Bruce Prichard didn't think I did, so I don't know. Better ask Bruce that question.
Stefan
But
Davies.
I'm the first to admit it. So there you go.
Stefan wants to know, what was Ric Flair's first reaction walking into the Impact Zone when he went to Impact Wrestling? Of course, as a reminder, this is a soundstage inside Universal Studios. Of course, once upon a time, WCW used to do a bunch of television tapings down there at Disney, and I'm sure you had been in the area before, and you certainly done your fair share of studio wrestling. But when you go back to TNA, it had been a long time since you had done something like that. What did you think of the Impact Zone?
It was okay. Once again, it's hard what we are is we're a ride. In other words, you buy a ticket for the park, and we're part of the park. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So sometimes you get enthusiastic wrestling fans. Sometimes you get people that are just there out of curiosity. It's a difficult crowd to really get a read on in terms of whether you think you're over or not. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yes.
Um, and I didn't like that because you could just tell someone were going, oh, is this really wrestling? I mean, just part of the tour. Like, I want to go ride Dumbo the elephant. I want to go to TNA. That makes sense. No, I'm being
I
serious.
want to go ride Dumbo the elephant. I want to go to TNA.
Yeah, whatever. The,
It's
sl- the
hilarious.
the fl- the sliding giraffe. I mean, I don't know how we fit in, but it was. I mean, it's always there are fans there that were really legitimate fans, but 90% of the crowd just people walking down the street to go, hey, there's wrestling tonight. Let's
Hey, so
go.
let me ask, there's some news, some park news, if you will. Splash Mountain has closed, and some idiots have started to sell cups of water on eBay saying this is water from Splash Mountain, and they're selling it for like $1,000, something stupid.
I'm
But
sure
the question has become, hey, well, if they're closing old Splash Mountain down, what about old Space Mountain? Are they closing
never
that
happened.
down anytime soon?
Never happened. It's the most famous ride in history of Disneyland. What do you think? You
Well,
don't think you don't think you don't think Pirates of the Caribbean is more exciting than Space Mountain, do you? Jesus, come
I've heard a lot of people were smiling when they got off Space Mountain. I don't know. Matt Carter says World Class, Mid South, and Houston weren't in the NWA. Why did the NWA allow you to defend the title regularly in those territories? Some great angles and matches for those territories.
because Bill Watts just approached him, and actually, Bill's going to be a guest on our show next week.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
okay.
not to interrupt, not to change the subject, and not to go back to Mr. Bischoff.
Uh-oh.
To clarify, he will be on the show next week to clarify who hired me and what position Mr. Bischoff was in when Bill hired me. He actually sent me a text and said all Bischoff did was spend the $85 million that I asked him to give me.
Mhm. My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait. So I can guarantee you that Eric was not on speaking terms with Vince McMahon. Bill was, and Bill called. I've had a long discussion with, I think I told you that 2 weeks ago, would have had him today, but he just had surgery. So I
Oh,
hope
I hate
he's
to hear that. I
healthy.
hope he's okay. Yeah, yeah.
I hope he's healthy, but he'll be on next week with us, or in the very near future,
Yeah,
to
soon.
finally put to rest who hired me and
The real
who was running the company.
well, we know the answer there.
Yeah.